GutPunched, Alzheimer's, and Caregivers. Navigating the insidious illness of Alzheimer's is something nobody asks for. The disease sneaks up on you and your loved one, and it feels like you've been sucker punched in the gut. Then you ask, where do we turn for help? Who do we call? What do we do? These questions and more are what we hope to answer and give you some direction and hope. Now let's join our host, Jeff Edwards.
Greetings and welcome. How are you doing today? Good, I hope. I'm often asked, why this topic? And here are my answers. Couple reasons. I'm a caregiver for my wife, who is in the early stages of Alzheimer's. I've had to learn a lot about the disease and how to be a caregiver. Another is, everybody knows somebody who has or has had the illness, and every one of them needs help. And I also wanted to give back. With all this going on, I've been fortunate to have been helped by some terrific organizations and people, and I wanted to help make the other's journey a little easier. The big emphasis of the podcast will be on caregivers and what to expect on this journey and where to look for help and resources that are available. 2 rules to learn and live. 1, you have to take care of yourself so you can be there for your loved one. And second, you can't do it alone. Later on in the podcast, we'll be talking with a MSW. That's a medical social worker. Stephanie Mallay from Lee Health Memory Clinic is a MSW, and she'll share some of her experiences in the field as well as give you some insight into what it's like to care for loved ones with any form of dementia. So let's get started. We're going to start off with some info for caregivers, just some of the basics. Taking care of yourself is one of the most important things you can do as a caregiver. This could mean asking family members and friends to help out, doing things you enjoy, using adult daycare services, or getting help from a local home health care agency. Taking these actions can bring some relief. It may also help keep you from getting ill or depressed. Here are some of the ways you can take care of yourself. 1, ask for help when you need it. 2, join a caregiver support group. 3, take breaks each day. 4, spend time with friends. 5, keep up with your hobbies and interests. 6, eat healthy foods. 7, get exercise as often as you can. 8, see your doctor on a regular basis. And 9, keep your health, legal, and financial information up to date. Let's talk about getting help. Everyone needs help at times. It's okay to ask for help and to take time for yourself. However, many caregivers find it hard to ask. You may feel that you should be able to do everything yourself and that it's not all right to leave the person with someone else. And no one will help even if you ask, and you don't have the money to pay someone to watch the person for an hour or 2. If you have trouble asking for help, try using some of these. It's okay to ask for help from family and friends and others. You don't have to do everything by yourself. Ask people to help out in specific ways like making a meal, visiting the person, or taking the person out for a short time. Join a support group to share advice and understanding with other caregivers. Call for help from home health care or adult daycare services when you need it. Use national and local resources to find out how to pay for some of this help or get respite care services. You may want to join a support group of Alzheimer's disease caregivers in your area or on the internet. These groups meet in person or online to share experiences and tips and give each other support. You could ask your doctor, you could check online, or contact local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. And the caregiver groups are phenomenal. They really are. Been through them, just started going back again, and every time I go, I learn something new. And I've researched this a lot because of my involvement, but I always learn something that somebody else went through and shares with that, and that's a great way to learn. You can also call the Alzheimer's and Related Dementias Education and Referral Center at no cost. The phone number is 1-800-438-4380. Again, it's 1-800-438-4380. You can visit on the internet at alzheimers.gov, and we talk about taking care of yourself. You got to take care of your emotional health. You got to meet your spiritual needs, and you might want to watch your diet. That makes a big difference. And another program, we'll go through that Very interesting things. There's a couple good books out there about that. In just a few moments, we'll be talking with Stephanie Mallay from the Lee Health Memory Clinic.
We'll be right back to GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Are you the caregiver for someone living with dementia? You're not alone. The Dubin Center in Fort Myers offers free educational classes and support.
The Dubin Center has given me a shoulder to lean on.
Call today or visit us at dubincenter.com to learn more.
This is GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
This week's guest is Stephanie Mallay, MSW, which means Medical Social Worker with the Lee Health Memory Clinic. And she's very knowledgeable about dementia and the resources and support families need. Welcome, Stephanie. How are you doing today?
Hi, Jeff. Thank you so much. I'm doing great. How are you?
What is a medical social worker? What does that entail?
A medical social worker, a lot of times, it's providing support to the providers and the patients and families within an outpatient clinic setting. So that can be from resources to providing education to providing guidance and planning. With the clinic that I work in, we specialize in memory impairment and Alzheimer's disease and the other related dementias. So that really is the focus within my role and assisting the providers, the patients, and the families.
Lee Health Memory Clinic, how long have they been in the area?
We've been around since about 1998.
Wow.
Yes, it's been a long time, and we're actually a state-designated memory disorder clinic through the Department of Elder Affairs. So we've definitely been in the community a long time providing these services.
Gotcha. How does one go to Lee Health Memory Clinic?
If a person is interested in being seen or family has concerns about their loved one, they would have their primary care doctor or any provider send a referral to our clinic to get scheduling and the process initiated. So we have the medical side of things where our providers assess, diagnose, and provide that continuum of care. And then we also have neuropsychologists and psychometrists that do that additional extensive 3-hour testing to help towards obtaining a diagnosis.
Gotcha. So when you say you're a medical social worker, and you said some of the things that you do, but how deep do you go? I mean, do you go to the person's home? Do they come to the clinic? Is it go to the house and say, hey, I can help you do this?
That's a great question, Jeff. My role is a little unique since we have the contract with the Department of Elder Affairs. It is providing the clinic support. Patients and families can come here to the clinic to see me, or I can provide services over the phone or virtually. And it can be from resources to looking at long-term planning. So where are we at right now, talking about advanced directives, senior living options, to what the future may hold for planning for the patient as well as the family's thoughts. With my role too, there is community outreach. So I am out in the community quite often, providing education, attending health fairs. I also, under our contract, monitor the silver alerts that come through for our area, as well as do the reporting for our state contract.
Wow. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. How did you get involved in this?
It's quite interesting. I've been a social worker it'll be 23 years in May of this year, and I actually started in the children aspect with Department of Children and Families, guardian ad litem, and, I love the older population, but I was worried I'd get too attached. My grandmother and great aunt were very important people in my life. Thinking about losing them or anything happening, it just was upsetting to me. So I was like, I don't know if I could work in this area. And then I went back to grad school in 2016 for my master's in social work and actually interned at a nursing home, and there was memory care. So this is definitely, that started my journey in this arena. I can't imagine being anywhere else. The dementia aspect has also been in my family as well. So it's not only personal, but professional. And I got connected to the memory disorder clinics. I actually worked for one of them in Orlando and got connected there. It's just been a blessing. I'm honored to be a part of the patients and caregivers journey.
What kind of resources does the Lee Health Memory Clinic provide?
I try to provide as much as possibly can. A lot of times when I speak to patients and families, it's trying to see even what's available in the community. So we start at the advanced directives aspects, making sure power of attorney, living will, those documents are in place. So if elder law attorneys are needed, to in-home services, adult day, senior living options, caregiver support, educational pieces, meal delivery, transportation. I try to provide and think of anything and everything that a family and patient could possibly need, even if it's not something they need right at that moment, just to be aware of what's available to help continue to be proactive versus an emergency situation arising and having to be reactive, and we're already stressed and everything like that. So it's hopefully the goal is one less thing to have to worry about because the knowledge of what's in the community.
I understand. What kind of advice could you share with families who are faced with Alzheimer's or other types of dementia? They were just handed the GutPunched diagnosis. What do you share with them?
Well, first, definitely letting them know, they're not alone. There's definitely support, and I'm one of those resources for them once they're linked with the clinic. I always joke with them when I first meet with families or patients. I'm like, you guys are stuck with me. I'm part of the family as providing that resource or that go-to for any questions. But definitely taking one day at a time, because the journey can definitely be a roller coaster and we can learn something new every day. And getting your support system in place as well as knowing those resources that are in the community, educating themselves and being as proactive as possible. So anything like that can hopefully help make things a little less stressful with the process. And then definitely connecting, doing the pre-screenings, the prevention, family members, and providing that continuous care and maintaining the doctor's appointments for all the doctors that may be involved, because the medical component is so important, not only for the patient themselves, but the caregiver as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What advice can you give to caregivers? I always tell people, like you said, you're not alone. And two, you got to take care of yourself, because if you're not there, who's taking care of your loved one?
Exactly.
What kind of advice would you give to caregivers?
Definitely the first thing I wrote down, especially being a social worker, was self-care. But definitely I know that's easier said than done, because we're so focused on taking care of our loved one, making sure their needs are met, they're safe, their medical appointments are being met. But like you stated, Jeff, as caregivers' needs are so important as well. And just still being able to enjoy things with your loved one or with friends, going for a walk, just taking a few minutes in the morning to do breathing exercises or read a book, but just having that time. And my other bit of advice is definitely with this journey, it's choosing our battles. Not everything has to be a disagreement or cause us stress. I know with my grandmother, when I was a lot younger, I was a teenager, when memory changes were happening, she had suffered a stroke. So when the repetition, the taking more time to get her words out was happening, I knew things were changing, but didn't understand, if you will, like I do now. So patience wasn't my virtue at the time. And that is time I wish I could do over again. And just having more grace with ourselves as caregivers, allowing that extra time, taking moments to regroup, and just still enjoying life the best we can.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Thank you.
Can you share a couple links? You've got link to Lee Health Memory
I
Clinic?
sure do. So it's definitely a long one. So I definitely want to preface that. But the Memory Clinic's website is leehealth.org/our OUR -services /neurology Alzheimer -S for Sam -and -dementia -care -memory -care.
That's a mouthful.
It is. I was just about to say the same thing.
Yeah, that will eventually get up on our, if it's not there already, on our website at GutPunched.com.
Perfect. Thank you.
Because it is a long one, and I didn't want to do that.
I was ready.
Good deal. Well, Stephanie, we'd like to thank you for your time today and to all the helpful information that you provided, and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Jeff. You as well.
Our guest has been Stephanie Mallay, medical social worker with Lee Health Memory Clinic, and we'll be right back.
We'll be right back to Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
The Dubin Center has helped me exponentially with so many questions answered. It's just been great.
Call today or visit us at dubincenter.com to learn more.
This is Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Well, it's time to wrap up today's program. We hope you were able to get some helpful information. If you know someone who has a family member or friends who have a family member who has Alzheimer's or any type of dementia, it would be great if you'd let them know about this podcast. One of the things we like to do is mention some links and some books, and here's a couple of good books to investigate that have great information. I've got this one at home. The 36-Hour Day, a family guide to caring for people who have Alzheimer's disease, other dementias, and memory loss. It's the 6th edition, and it's written by Nancy L. Mace and Peter V. Ravens. Another great one is Learning to Speak Alzheimer's, a groundbreaking approach for everyone dealing with the disease, by Joanne Koenig-Kust. To find your local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, you can visit alz.org/local resources /find your local chapter, or use the Elder Care Locator at 1-800-677-1116. That's 1-800-677-1116, or use the Elder Care Locator online tool. Or you can check out the Dementia Society of America at dementiasociety.org. As this podcast grows, so will the links to resources and helplines will show up on our website. I'm a little slow on that. I'm learning. It's a learning curve with the website. If you have any questions or thoughts about Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, or if there is a specific topic you would like to know more about, reach out to us. The website is gutpunched.com, and an email address is gutpunchedac@outlook.com. A special shout out to Rick Peterson, Ora Santana, Gentry Thomas, the Dubin Center, and my wife for their tremendous help and support in making this podcast happen. Thanks for joining us, and please come back again. God bless.
This has been Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, with your host, Jeff Edwards. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to us on all the platforms like Spotify, Apple, Pandora, and more. If you have a question or want to get in touch, our email is gutpunchedac@outlook.com.